Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Shifting Focus podcast. My name is John Bunn. I'm very excited that you're here. I'm a wedding filmmaker and photographer that's been doing this for almost 19 years. And today is a solo episode where I'm going to be talking about how I went from half price to $20,000 bookings in 12 months. A lot of you know my story, but I found myself in a pickle this time last year, and within the last year, I have really done a lot of things, and I just want to walk through that as I'm thinking about the end of the year, as we're getting into November here, and I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts. I did a wedding this last weekend, great wedding. The photographer, though, great photographer, still not charging a ton of money. I was asking them about what they're doing, what they're charging, and I talked to a lot of different people, and I just see this disconnect between people that, have really good art and aren't really great at business or need to get better at business. And I don't know, it's, middle of November now. And thinking about what I've done in the last year, I was saying to my wife, Heather, the other day, just like, I'm really proud of the work that I've done in this last year. I really decided to treat my business like a business, try to really focus on it. The last few years I kind of let up on it as I've been growing my education space and doing things with education, and just needed to get things back on track. And I feel like as I'm heading into 2026, that I have momentum. And I think that when you get momentum in your brand, your posture is different. You act different. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. As we record or drop this episode, I'm actually, hopefully, in Oregon at the Wedding Crashers Crash Out Retreat. I'm doing some teaching out there at a retreat. If you don't know about the Wedding Crashers podcast, be sure to check them out. Kyle and Cameron over there doing good things asked me to go speak at their retreat, which is kind of the end of the season for me. As I'm recording this, I'm about to head to Scottsdale, Arizona for a wedding this weekend with a good planner friend of mine, good photographer friend. I'm doing video only on Saturday, and then getting on a plane Sunday to stay and hang with Boomer and Sarah from Multiply Sound for a night, and then go over to the retreat Monday through Wednesday. And then I get home Thursday, and Thursday of this week, I will be officially done with weddings for the season, and I have 100 days to the day off before I kick off the 2026 season. Inquiries have started coming in for next year. I've got a lot of people on the hook, about to book and hopefully book out the rest of my season soon. And that's just such a paradigm shift, such a different thing than where I was this time last year. A year ago, I shot a wedding. It was literally this last weekend. My time hop or whatever memories were showing 1 year ago, I did Emma and Rob's wedding. And I want to talk about what that wedding was for me. I think that was a really big wake-up call for me. This is the wedding I did for a planner for $7,500, and it was like 2 days of shooting. It was half my normal rate, half the rate that I had been booking, and it was kind of one of those humble pieces of pie I ate instead of the full pie kind of moments. The planner was who I want to work with. The wedding was the kind of wedding I wanted to work with. And my posture towards that wedding was so grateful because it helped me pay my bills. And that's the first one in a long time that helped me pay my bills. I booked that one while I was on a vacation in the summer of last year. And I had a negative account balance in my John Bunn Films account, as well as no bookings coming up. And that one kind of helped me get a booking on the plate. It helped me to, get $7,500 that I didn't have. It kind of helped me get through that month and get me to a spot to where I could really start booking weddings for the next season. And it kind of was like that rocket fuel that got me to a spot to where I'm sitting now, where I've paid off a ton of debt. I've gotten myself a handful of months of revenue in the account, and my whole life and brand financially for sure has changed in this last year. But that wedding, I treated it as a $20,000 booking, and it's kind of funny because it was the stuff I've been teaching on here. I had to let go a little bit just because I was focusing on the education and needed to take a break from shooting weddings for a little bit. And so there was a little ember in the fire still for John Bunn Films, but I had to kind of start over. And so I remember looking at that wedding as like, I'm going to make the most out of this wedding possible. I edited it myself. I color graded it myself. I showed behind the scenes of the edit. I was able to take that wedding and make like 50 pieces of content from it, hook up the planner, hook up the florist, the venue, just get my name out there. It was right before I joined Wed Society, which is a magazine and publication and vendor networking group here in lots of states actually now, but it was just kind of this catalyst, this shaking me awake, this cold water in the face, booking that half price wedding and treating it like it was 3 times more. I realized I needed to rebuild, and I was restarting. I was rebranding and trying to basically prove to myself that I still had it. Um, and I fast forward 12 months later, I just looked on my CRM before getting on here, and I'm over $350,000 worth of sales this year. And that's like not even including all the bookings I've gotten for next year. And I wanted to just break down kind of how I did this and how it happened, how I got to where I'm at. I think some of us, or maybe you're out there listening, you're saying, I'm in a position where I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I'm not getting the prices I want. My work is good. What gives? And I'm gonna just kind of lean into what I'm experiencing. With my first point just really being thinking about the problem that most creatives have. And it's most creatives like never get to where they want to be because they never decide who they are as a brand. And I had rebranded in 21 and had built up John Bunn Films and knew who I was serving and why. I just stopped pushing it. And so I knew who I was, and I got laser focused on who I was as a brand. And it's weird because it's like it's our face as the brand, most of us. And like I was aiming at people that are a higher wealth class than me. And I really got focused on if I had hired John Bunn to run John Bunn Films as a luxury or high-end brand, what would I be doing that I'm not doing? And I think most of us just don't see ourselves as a brand. We see ourselves as in business, but we don't really take a step outside of ourselves and say, how do people perceive me? How can I be perceived in the market? Um, Most people lack confidence to raise prices um, because maybe they're afraid that their work isn't as good. And I'll just tell you this. I'm booking over $10,000 photo weddings, and I've only shot 9, maybe 10 photo weddings so far. It's all about the brand. I mean, I'm good at it. I'm not saying my photos aren't great. It sounded like I was tooting my horn too much, but like my photos are solid. My composition's solid, but like I'm still figuring out how to get the color how I want it and learning things every wedding. And I I just don't lack confidence though in my brand. I've worked with so many photographers that charge way more than me that their photos are fine, but the brand is what's so good. And most people out there that are still like maybe that you've been in business for a while and you can't get over that hump. I think it's that you don't have a clear picture of who you're going to serve and that you don't see who you are as a brand and you lack the confidence to raise your prices. Um, and like the last thing is I think most of us are inconsistent. That's what kills momentum. And I decided this time last year I was going to be consistent. I was going to be relentlessly consistent. And what did that look like for me? I wasn't just playing around. I have several friends that are like, hey, I think I'm really going to get into weddings this year. And then, like, other things distract them. They take commercial shoots, they do other things, they take a job, whatever it is. They're never really consistent. You know, you hear people, I'm on day one of my workout routine. but they're never on day 500 of their workout routine. And the ones that are on day 500 are the ones that have the six-pack abs and the biceps or whatever. And to me, I decided to count the cost of what that would look like. And I talked to Heather and I was like, if I do this, I'm going to be shooting a lot this year. You have to remember, I only shot 7 weddings in 2024, um, and 2 weddings in 2023. So 9 weddings in the last 24 months. I have shot 12 weddings in the last 10 weeks, which is crazy. And my schedule has been bananas this year. I got status on American Airlines and with Marriott Hotels and just all these reward points and all this. I've just been traveling a lot. I think I've had 50 plus nights away from the house this year. And so there's a cost for that. And I don't want to do that again next year, but I knew I needed to pay the price this year. So I was talking to Heather about like, for me to be consistent in this, I'm going to have to, on Sundays after shooting a wedding, I'm going to have to edit same day little teasers and do sneak peeks of photos. And I'm going to take 4 weddings in October, even though October is my birthday and my daughter's birthday and my mother-in-law's birthday and cross country and all the things. So I know that I'm super busy, but I knew that I had to be relentlessly consistent. And to start with that, I thought, what's most important for me with consistency? And I knew the brand. I knew that I had to be very consistent in my messaging and wording, but I knew that I needed to be on Instagram. I wanted to be consistent on Instagram. I decided not to do TikTok, not to do Facebook, just focus on Instagram. And I committed to 1 year of being in my stories daily. I'm now at almost a year and a half of every day having something in my story bubble, just what's going on in my life, showing more of me, showing more of things that feel higher end, little, clips, little polls, little things in the stories. I've posted at least twice a week, every week for like 70 weeks in a row. I've gone from, I think, 9 or 10,000 followers to 14 or 15,000 followers. I'm consistently averaging over 1 to 2 million views per month on my Instagram reels. And I just needed to get consistent where it became like this natural muscle that's been developed. And um, like I said, being consistent on Instagram, I started to feel momentum. I started to get more followers. There were days and months there that I was getting another 20 to 50 followers a day, which that adds up. In a month, you're adding 1,000 followers. I'm now like the algorithm goes up, it down, it changes, but I've been consistent. I've been learning. I've been growing. And like consistency was what I started to build things on. I think there's only been 2 weddings this year that I haven't done some kind of a same day edit or teaser or things like that. Only because one of them was a double, I booked an associate wedding where I had 2 weddings on one day. I didn't do a teaser for that one. And then another one was a wedding that booked me last minute that they have a lot of money. They were great to work with, but the wedding wasn't anything like what I would want to put out there. So you won't be seeing that one. But other than that, I've done 21 video weddings where I've had a little same day, at least one day, a lot of them multi-day, same day edits on a rehearsal dinner and a welcome party and like just hooking up the planner, the photographer, just so freaking consistent with my service. My gallery turnaround on my photos. I knew that this first year I wanted to have sneaks early. I've been delivering anywhere from 50 to 100 images within 24 to 48 hours. And the full delivery for my photo galleries within 4 weeks, most of them within 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm using Imagine AI to edit, but I'm also going through every single photo and removing things and just being so consistent and focused on an elevated brand. I treated my social media like a storefront, not a scrapbook. I put everything out there that I wanted to. I've rearranged my grid. I've changed my thumbnails. I've made posts about me. I make it really easy for people to know who I am, my brand voice. I spend time DMing people, planners, connecting with people, helping out vendors, which moves into the next thing I did, which was intentional networking. Um, and I look at these consistent things that I'm doing, and I'm putting together some actual content, maybe some courses even, just about some of these things. If you're consistent, if you network, if you have a social media, if you have a brand, these things matter. And the next thing I was working on really was, how can I network with people? How can I get in the room? And in Oklahoma, there's this company, Wed Society. They just started doing other states. I joined a Wed Society chapter. I went to a couple of their in-person events, networking events. I'm posting about it on my stories. I'm talking to people. I'm networking. I'm getting to meet more people. Um, and I found that to be interesting because I hadn't done much in Oklahoma in a long time. And the respect people have for me was really refreshing. They know that I do education and I travel. And it was just good to reconnect with a lot of planners, a bunch of which have sent me weddings. And it helped me connect with new people. And not only in-person events, but now that I'm going to a bunch of weddings, I'm able to really connect with planners and photographers and new people and make connections at weddings, which just builds more momentum. So every wedding is a networking event. Every wedding is a way for me to be consistent, to relentlessly be consistent. So I'm connecting with these people I want to work with, working with them, helping them. They're getting me more weddings, and the carousel goes around and around. Have you ever nailed the perfect shot and then wasted hours searching for music that doesn't sound like it came from the bargain bin? I've been filming weddings for almost 20 years, and that used to be me. For over a decade now, I've used MusicBed exclusively because the quality is just different. Real artists, real music. 70,000 plus curated songs designed for filmmakers. And now they've added MusicBed sounds. 150,000 plus premium sound effects from world-class sound designers, including Oscar-winning talent. Their AI search tools make it incredibly quick to find exactly what your edit needs. Filter by genre, mood, BPM, and even song key. It saves me hours every single week. If your couples are investing in luxury films, don't pair them with cheap-sounding audio. Hit the show notes below to get your free trial of MusicBed and start leveling up your films today. MusicBed, the soundtrack your films deserve. And at these weddings, I show up with energy, with gratitude, with servanthood, and not desperation. The brand of John Bunn Films is elevated. It is higher end, but it's also your big brother, your friend. It's soft, it's kind, it's not sharp or rushed. It's relaxed and enjoy your day kind of vibe. And so I just know my brand voice. I elevated the way I dress, the way that I talk, the way that my gear, what camera bags I'm using. I got rid of my Pelican cases with stickers on them and got some think tank roller bags, like just thinking through all the little things that I could be intentional. And that moved me into strategic generosity. This year, when I really got going into photos, I did over 30 free sessions to get my name back out there. Not only did that get me more photo bookings, in my first photo bookings in general, but it got me way more video bookings. A lot of the photo bookings that I got were because I gave a free session. One of the couples that I gave a free session to ended up booking an almost $30,000 video and photo package because I gave them a free photo session. They've since done an engagement session. They're doing bridal portraits. I'm going out to their wedding out of state. They're paying for me to stay at a resort. They're amazing. And we stay connected. Like, I'm doing their wedding in May, and they're so happy to have paid me 30 grand to do their wedding. And that wouldn't have happened without strategic generosity. I want to be generous just to be generous. But what happens whenever you do things like that, the motion creates emotion. And I think that people seeing me out doing photos, you just see it enough. You see John's out there doing another photo session. The photos are awesome. The brand is awesome. Like, all these things line up and start to grow your brand. I took on this idea of being strategically generous. I took underpriced destination weddings strategically for the content and the relationships, if I'm just being honest. I wasn't doing free work. I was making investments. So I did a wedding in Mexico where I got paid 5 grand. I've talked about it on here. I did video and photo for 5,000, which is insane. But that wedding specifically booked me another $30K wedding for next year in Oklahoma right after they saw those images. So I basically got paid $5,000 to go build my portfolio. And that's what I was looking at, like, I mean, I provided a $35,000 service. They got the deal of a lifetime. I was strategically generous, but I was making an investment. I did a wedding in Boston for about half price. I did a wedding in Lake Placid, New York for half price. But what it did is I was able to showcase that I travel and that I'm good at it, and that I have, one of those weddings was a Southeast Asian wedding. One of those weddings was like the idea, I guess, that I'm getting at is it gave people more and showed people more of what I do. If I'm just sitting at home, it's hard to be like, come on, work with me. But it's pretty easy to stay in front of people when I'm making 20 different reels a month because of all the content. I have the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. I'm showing behind the scenes of me at the weddings. I'm showing people all kinds of the vibe of John Bunn Films. And that strategic generosity has turned into hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue for me. And when I started running these things, whenever I had relentless consistency, intentional networking, and strategic generosity, what that did is it caused a turning point. And it was around February or March. I had booked up most of my schedule, but things really started to click. The inquiries shifted and referrals started coming in from vendors that I had been reconnecting with. And I was no longer chasing. I was attracting. And that was what was really cool, is like luxury clients, I feel like they can feel desperation, and they can feel it when somebody doesn't know how to handle their event or their kind of event. It's just pretty obvious whenever that person doesn't have the confidence to do the event. And I've done several luxury weddings this year, a couple of ultra luxury weddings this year. And even the higher the price of the wedding, the more they're spending, the more confidence you have to have, the more skill you have to have, the stakes are higher. But it's the same kind of thing. It's just the mindset of the vendors is completely different at the wedding where they're spending 1.5 million than the one that I signed up for that they're doing, and they're spending 20K on the whole event, and there's nothing wrong with that. I spent less than that on my wedding, but I hit this turning point where one of the strategic generosities that I did was I gave away a lot of those free sessions to people, but it was the right people. I went through previous couples of mine that I knew fit the bill for who I wanted to work with in the future. And I asked them who they knew that were engaged that wanted free sessions, or somebody that was dating that needed free photos. And what that did was it allowed me to show up to a brand new group of college-aged friend groups that are all engaged, all getting married, and it has booked me so many weddings. And that turning point around February or March came when those referrals from the vendors started running in, the referrals from other couples, and these high-end clients started saying, hey, I'm getting married in 2026. I booked a wedding in the Bahamas for 2026, a very high-end, beautiful wedding. And I was able to portray a confidence, like a calm and clarity that luxury clients were wanting. So what does it look like now? This might be like, if you start now and you decide 2026 is my year of hard work, this is where I'm going to be intentional. This is where I'm going to look at myself as a brand. I'm not going to have this lack of confidence. I'm going to be relentlessly consistent. I'm going to network. I'm going to be generous. You will also see a turning point. You will also see that. And what it's looking like now is I already have, I think it's 9 weddings, and every one of them is over 20K. So I'm pushing almost 200K in confirmed revenue already with 9 events, which this time, like for 2025 in 9 events, it was like 85 to 90,000, which is still good money, but the hard work is paying off. The hard work, it means that next year I'm going to be home more and have more revenue per wedding, which is going to allow me to make even better wedding films and even better wedding photos. And so I don't say this to brag. It's to prove to you what is possible when you show up every day, when you are consistent. Like, I no longer need the booking. And that's huge. That's exactly why I'm getting the bookings now, is because I am not in a place of desperation. And maybe you are currently in a place of desperation. You can't come across that way. That's the hard part. And sometimes you have to get a real picture of what just be real honest with yourself of like, what does your brand speak to the market right now? Does your website say, okay, this person is my wedding photographer or florist or whatever you are? Or does your brand, is it consistent? Does it feel how you want it to feel? Are you being consistent on social media? Everybody has excuses. I have excuses. I have so much going on that I don't talk about here. I've had so many family things go on. I've had so many things, so many mountains to climb. Just raising 2 kids and having a family, having extended family with brothers and sister-in-laws and in-laws and all the stuff, like birthday parties to go to, church things to do, like I'm still living a life, and there's always an excuse. And I want to thank Heather, my wife, because she and I met and talked and said, hey, things are either going to get tough now or later. We get to choose our version of hard. Is this going to be a hard year of work? So that moving forward, it's a better scenario for us, or are we going to have a hard year because we're kind of inching by? And the transition out of how to film weddings and just kind of giving myself some space to relax and not have to be putting out so much content. I mean, I know I'm doing this podcast, but it's giving me just a break from this time last year. We were teaching a mastermind group every week. We're teaching online courses and live streams. And I've been able to just kind of pump the brakes and focus on the brand, which is now allowing me to get really excited to have content and products for you, showing you what works in 2026, because I know exactly how to do it. I know if I'm in your shoes, I know exactly what to do. And so I think that I really just, where I'm at is, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I really need a mentor. I'm picking up 5 mentorship clients for November, end of November, December, 5 people. I'm not doing a big thing, but if you are wanting personal mentorship from me, I'm putting together 5 people that are all going to get together. If you're interested in that, just shoot me a DM at John Bunn with an underscore, or you can email me, john@johnbunnfilms.com. And I'm not going to push this a bunch. I know that it'll fill up. But if you're one of 5 people that want to work together to grow for 2025, I'm going to be doing that. Hopefully in December and January is kind of when I'm going to do it. So shoot me a message. If I don't get any messages this week, that's fine. But hopefully I can help you if you're in a position where you're like, I want some personal coaching, training. I can do that for you. Wedding filmmakers, do you know that sinking feeling when your inbox is full and your to-do list looks more like a novel? That's where my friends at Limly come in. This CRM, designed by videographers for videographers, lets you send and receive contracts, deliver films, manage projects, invoices, and questionnaires, all in one slick, intuitive platform. It even automates your project workflow from import to export, so you stay on top of deadlines without lifting a finger. Stop wasting your time on tasks you can automate and focus on making more money. And as a bonus, I've got a 25% off code in the show notes below. Head there now and streamline your whole business. Limly, get back to creating, not admin. So the lesson is, if you want to make real money in this industry, if you want to make the art that you're the happiest with, you can't just focus on the work only. You have to build the brand. You have to show up every day, even when no one's watching. You have to put in the work when no one's watching, and you have to create an experience that feels the way you want it to feel way before the wedding gets here for them. You need to decide what your brand is, and don't discount to fit in. Don't discount it to fit in, because your brand is only going to be decided by you, unless you just take whatever you get. I would say you don't need 100 weddings. You need the right 20 or 30 or 15. And a lot of us just kind of take what we can get, and oh, that wasn't a wedding I really wanted, but I got to post it because I did that wedding. And then it attracts more of something that you don't want to do. And I would just tell you that when you know your brand, it's like having a budget. And budgets seem like they're boring until you set one up at the beginning of the month, and you have this freedom to know how much money you have to spend on entertainment. You know how much money you can spend on eating out and how much you're saving. And you don't feel like, I don't know if I should be buying this thing or not. Like, you have confidence because you have that budget. That is what a brand is for you. When you have a brand, it's like the budget for your business. It tells you what you can say and you can't say, and what types of weddings you'll show and what types you won't, and the way that you'll write captions and the way that you won't. So there's this freedom of just working that brand once you have it. And so I don't come across thirsty. I come across as elevated. I come across as a servant at the wedding. I'm serving. I'm in the hospitality industry. And by showing up every day and being consistent, people believe in your brand. They have confidence in your brand. The planners have confidence in me because I'm consistent as all get out. I am going to give Ariana, my planner friend, a same day edit. She knows it. I'm going to give Annie next day photos. She knows it. I'm going to give Ashley next day edits. Like, all the planners I work with, they know that I'm consistent. They know that they're going to get social media clips. They know I'm going to show up smelling good and not looking like I just rolled out of bed. They know I'm going to treat their clients well, and I'm not going to leave my junk laying around and my bags everywhere. And I'm not going to disrespect the bridal party. I'm going to help keep them on time. I show up every day, even when no one's watching, because I have the budget for my brand. I know exactly what my brand is and what I'm going to do for that brand. I'm on the same page with my wife about it. And I decided what my brand was, and I didn't discount it. This is the John Bunn Films brand. I took some weddings at a discount, but I did not discount the brand. I made the couples that took lower prices sign NDA saying they weren't going to share the prices with anyone, and that I treated those weddings like they were $30,000 weddings. And so I would end with this: you're never going to get there until you start acting like a brand that deserves that wedding. I'm going to say it again. You're never going to get there unless you start acting like and being a consistent brand that deserves to be there. So I think I'll wrap up with that. If this episode hit you in any way, feel free to share it on your story or tag me at John Bunn _ at the end. Tell me what you're doing to shift your focus. If you, like I said earlier, are one of 5 that want to do some deeper mentorship and coaching with me, I'm going to do like a 5 or 6 week intensive in December and January. It'll probably be around $500 a month, somewhere in there is what I'm looking at. I'm still kind of working it out. It's not for me to make a ton. It's for me to be able to give you the time that you need for your brand. And I think we can kickstart our year 2026. This is the time to be looking through your website and looking through your brand. So if that's you, shoot me a DM or an email, john@johnbunnfilms.com. Tell me that you heard me on this episode, and let's see if working together will help you. I know this much: if I didn't have mentors in my life, if I did not have coaching in my life, I would never be where I'm at today. And whether it's me or someone else, maybe if you just get yourself out there and have somebody in your corner to push you to be consistent, maybe this is what's going to change your year. Maybe this time next year, you'll be booking weddings like you've never booked before, getting paid amounts you never thought possible, and working with your dream clients. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this episode was helpful. I hope you have a great week. I'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you so much. And until next time, I'll be seeing you. You know how much I love shooting weddings, but you know what I don't love? Wasting hours culling and editing. That is why I use Imagine.ai. It's literally learned my style. It culls my photos, edits them, and even opens them in Lightroom with the sliders exactly where I'd want them. And now they're in beta for video color grading, which is an absolute game changer. Stop wasting time and get back to doing what you love. Check the show notes to grab 1,500 free edits today.